Hey everybody, this is Mike with the One Stop Co-op Shop, and today I'm doing a review of the Riddle of the Sphinx expansion for Santorini, which turns the usually competitive abstract game into a solo co-op puzzle experience. And disclaimer that I got a review copy of this one. So as I said, the original Santorini is a competitive game where players take turns moving these little workers around and trying to build up these vertical buildings and move onto them to get to the highest spot and win. But Riddle of the Sphinx turns those mechanics on its head into an entirely new mode. This has 22 puzzles that are quite replayable. It's not like a one and done. And 1 to 4 players take turns moving workers and building stuff as normal, but also rolling dice to get pieces, working to fulfill little quests of different gods and goddesses from Greek mythology, and trying to complete as many achievements as they can on each of the puzzles, including godlike, which is super challenging. So let's get to 5 key things to know about Riddle of the Sphinx. So at number 5, the least important to know, but still important enough or I wouldn't mention it, is the achievements and unlockable sort of legacy aspect of the game, and this is a mix for me. Each time you play one of the 22 puzzles on the board, you're going to mark off the different achievements you reach, the different levels you beat, and those will allow you on a one-to-one basis to fill in these little crystals next to these extra gods, and that will let you unlock them to use in the puzzles. So you'll unlock new abilities, and as you use those gods in puzzles, you'll fill in the little arrows around these spaces, and that will unlock new blessing cards for your blessing deck. On the positive side, this gives some motivation and excitement to playing the game more. You want to retry puzzles to get the highest score possible. You want to keep playing to unlock more gods and more blessings. But on the other hand, those unlocks feel a bit tacked on to me. I'm never a huge fan of legacy stuff and filling in real things like this. And also, while the friendly gods you unlock do add some strategy and counter some of the randomness in the game, because the base gods you have in a puzzle are randomized, you don't know which ones you're going to get, whereas this you can choose from and control to make sure they fit the challenge you're doing in a given riddle. At the same time, I kind of wish they'd just taken a bunch of these and added them to the base deck so you have even more randomized variability and replayability, but it's really a minor complaint. This is still a fun system if you get into the legacy aspect. My number 4 point is also a mix for my taste, and that's looking at the cooperation and the player count balance. So 2 players are most straightforward and simple. You each have your own color of workers, and on your turn you can do some other actions, or you can move one of your workers and build with them. Solo works similarly. You have this little piece here, and you have to move it to a different action each turn, so you're controlling both the white and the blue workers in this case. For 3 player, each player has a single worker in their color, but there is a 4th shared worker that anybody can use. And then in 4 player, you're back to the 2 player colors, but you share blue or share white on your team. So it's fine, it does the job, but I certainly find solo and 2 player to be the most compelling. Also, 3 and 4 player can honestly get pretty complicated because you're taking these different god cards with different powers and a little quest to fulfill. And when that's split among 4 players, it can be harder to kind of bring those together in a satisfying way, whereas solo, you have full control over using all of these. And also, there is no hidden information in the game, so if you have an alpha player in your group, they could dominate which moves people want to take. So just things to be aware of. I personally prefer the game at 1 and 2 player. Well, let's get to the pros, because I have a lot of them. My number 3 is a full-on pro, and that's the scenario variety in the game. So again, there are 22 of these riddles, and they each add in some new things. The first round is mostly a tutorial, though you do get this very interesting Sphinx cat and mouse game at the end. But then you have riddles that are about a ton of movement, like this one where the island is slowly sinking and pieces are disappearing. You have a riddle where you have to pick up specific coins and avoid others to ride the boat on the river Styx. Riddles where you're building up walls to defend the town from invasion. Just tons of crazy stuff. And with the different achievements you can get, with the variable gods and die rolls, you can have fun with these riddles again and again. My number 2 point is another full-on pro, and that's the basic movement and building puzzle of the game. And this is really the core of the competitive Santorini experience, which I also really enjoy, where each turn you pick 1 worker, you move them, you build a building adjacent to you, potentially building up a level, and then you try to climb up those buildings you've built to eventually reach the highest 3rd level and win. And they did an awesome job keeping this compelling and potentially making it even more compelling with the scenarios I mentioned, because now you're trying to build buildings to get these little coins placed around the board to the indicated height. So you need to be careful about which workers are moving where, who's blocking whom, and as things get built, you have to make sure you're on the right height to be able to reach things. And again, that tactical building and moving puzzle gets even more interesting as you add in the scenarios. So it's just a great continuation of the awesome abstract strategy that was in the original Santorini competitive play. But my number 1 point, the thing that's most important to know about this expansion, and I love it, is the resource management of your block stockpile and the god powers and using them to earn more blocks. Because in each scenario, you start with a very small number of blocks, and these are the only ones you can build. You can get more by rolling for the Sphinx's game, but that becomes dangerous very quickly. So the majority of your blocks are going to come from these randomized god cards, although again, you pick a few in the later scenarios that you want to use. The god cards will give you set pieces that start on them, as well as special abilities you can use that might be vital to completing a scenario. And then if you can combine the 2 things, use their power in a turn where you build the block that's on them, then you get to complete their quest and earn another block of your choice. So in general, every god card, if you use it correctly, is worth 2 more blocks for your supply, but you have to get the right kinds of blocks. You have to get them at the right times. You have to decide, do you want to use a god quickly or keep them to keep benefiting from their power? And because a majority of these gods are randomized, giving you different powers and different quests each game, it hugely increases the replayability combined with the varied scenarios and the different achievements to get, keeping the game fun and exciting and tense play after play. So if you're looking for a fantastic, competitive, abstract strategy game, especially one that's great with 2 players and plays really quickly, you can't go wrong with Santorini. It's one of my family's favorites. And for something quite different but still quite awesome, the Riddle of the Sphinx expansion is a really great puzzle that we've just had a blast with. It has way more replayability than I expected, a lot more variety than I thought it would. It's just a really good release. And if you want to see the game in action, both competitive and cooperative, you can check out my recent playthrough. Thanks for watching, everybody. Good gaming, and I'll see you at the next stop.